A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll.
Let's go. Firefighters. Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll drop in at the home of Tim Collins and learn Tim's decision on a question that can affect his career in the fire department for years to come. But first, here's a message for you. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to the home of Tim Collins, where you remember just a moment ago, the young fireman found a riot in progress as Jimmy and Trudy, his brother and sister, rehearsed an important scene of their fire prevention play. As Tim entered the front door, he heard sounds of that.
Hey, it's me, everybody. I'm home. Oh, good grief, what's going on in there? Hey, Trudy! Jimmy!
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Oh, take that.
No, you don't.
You arsoneer. Ouch.
Ouch yourself. Don't hit so
Hey,
hard.
what goes on?
I'll beat your ears down.
No, you don't. Break it up. Cut it out. Cut it.
Oh, the lamp. Oh, Jimmy, we knocked over the lamp again.
Oh, golly. It's all right, though. It didn't break anymore.
What's the matter here? Jimmy, Trudy, I'm ashamed of you two.
Oh, hello, Tim. Did you see our play?
Just like the radio, Tim.
Your play? What are you talking about?
Well, you know, Tim, our prevention play.
For the Firefighters Brigade.
Oh, good grief. I thought it was a riot. I almost tapped in a call for the rescue squad to get me out of
Oh,
here.
see, Jimmy, he thought it was real. Oh, won't the brigade just love it?
Let's do the big fight scene again, Trudy.
All the way through so Tim can see how it starts. Now watch. Tim.
Hey, the rescue squad. Oh, I wonder.
Huh? What'd you say, Timmy?
Kids, where's Mom? I've got to talk to her.
Why, Mommy's out in the kitchen, I guess.
Oh, I'll see you later. Hey, Mom, I've got to talk to you.
Now, what do you suppose he's got to talk to Mom about all of a sudden?
Jimmy and Trudy can't figure it out, but they don't know that Tim has a problem on his mind, as he explains to his mother in the kitchen.
So I thought, well, I want you to help me figure it out, Mom. What I decide might make a big difference.
I see, Tim. Hand me that big colander.
Oh, sure, Mom. This thing?
That thing. Now help me shell the peas, but you're not to eat any. Drop them all in the colander.
Yes, sir. You see, Chief Cody says I'm in line for promotion, and there are 2 lieutenancies open. Where do I put the pot?
There on the newspaper.
Oh. Chief Cody says I'm eligible. I can take my promotion in either a ladder or an engine company.
You're young, Tim. So very young to command a company.
Oh, it isn't that, Mom. Good grief, Dad wasn't much more than my age when he got his first big promotion.
Well, that's true, dear, but well, you have so much time ahead of you.
That's it, Mom. So much time ahead of me and so much to learn. So I was thinking...
Timothy Collins.
Huh? Yes, ma'am.
Tim, I don't mind your thinking, but don't eat those peas to help you think.
Oh.
Now, drop them into the colander. You'll have no peas for supper, nor will anybody else either.
Oh, yeah, sure, Mom.
Well, that's better. Now, you were thinking?
Oh, well, I was... Oh, I dropped a pea. Suppose, instead of going up for promotion so soon, suppose I put in for a transfer to another division in the department.
So you can get a little more experience? Well, what does Chief Cody say?
Oh, he's willing, Mom.
But where would you go, Tim? You've served on the ladders in your engine company. What would it be? Searchlight? Salvage company?
A rescue squad.
Oh, glory be.
Yeah, I just thought of it, Mom. When I found Jimmy and Trudy staging a riot, and I said something about rescue squad, and it just popped out, but then I knew. That's what I want.
But, Tim, on the rescue squad, you have to be a jack of all trades and master of everything.
Well, where else could I learn so much? If I'm going to follow in Dad's footsteps, why...
That's true, dear. Your father knew every job in the fire department, backwards and forwards.
Well, what do you think, Mom? What's your advice?
Tim, if Chief Cody will recommend your transfer to the rescue squad, and that's what you want, I want it to.
Yo, I was afraid you'd think it was dangerous.
Be careful, Tim.
I'll take care of myself, Mom.
I know, but I mean, be careful with those peas.
Oh.
Here, you're spilling them. Give me that colander.
After talking it over with his mother, Tim is ready to make his formal request to Chief Cody for transfer from Engine Company 209 to the rescue squad. But next day, when he reports to the chief in his office after duty, Tim finds Chief Cody strangely reluctant to approve his transfer.
Yes, Collins. I know. I said a transfer can be arranged, but the rescue squad...
Well, Chief Cody, if I misunderstood
No, you didn't misunderstand me, boy. I did say you could be transferred to any division of the fire department that you might choose. I said it, and I'll stand by what I said.
Well, sir, I talked it over with Mom, just as you suggested.
Good. Your mother knows the department inside out. What'd she say?
Well, I'm right in choosing the rescue squad if it's all the same to you.
Oh, great billows of smoke.
Sir?
Oh, nothing. Just that I was hoping she'd steer you towards something else. Something she and I both had in mind. Oh, excuse me a minute.
Oh, of course, Chief.
Expecting some people. I'll find out if they're here yet. Shove that phone across my desk, will you?
Here, Chief.
Thank you. Glover, are those people here yet? Huh? Oh, well, give me a buzz as soon as they get here, will you? There should be any minute now. Right.
Oh, you're busy, Chief. I'd better come in some other time.
No, Collins. I want you here when these people come in.
Oh, somebody from out of town, Chief?
No, you know them. But while we're waiting, now you understand what's involved if you join the rescue squad?
Well, yes, sir. I know that my job will be to save life, sir, as well as to fight special fires that no other company in the whole department is prepared to handle.
Right. And your duty might take you anywhere, Collins. From the topmost tip of the highest building in the city down into the tube of the new tunnel they're pushing under the river.
Well, that's for me, Chief.
Well, I don't blame you, son. If they'd accept an old man like me, hanged if I wouldn't like to... Yeah, great blistering blazes. Right now, I want you for something else. Oh, there they are now.
Shall I open the door, sir?
Yeah, go ahead, Collins. Tell them to come right in.
Yes, sir.
Oh, hello, Timmy. What are you doing here?
Hiya, Tim.
Trudy, Jimmy, Mom! Hey, what goes on?
Come in, all you Collinses.
Hey, good grief.
Shut the door, son.
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Collins, you sit right here. This used to be your husband's desk when he was chief. You take charge of this meeting.
Well, thank you, Bob Cody.
Your boy and I have been having a discussion, Mrs. Collins.
About his transfer?
Yes, I'm afraid I've been putting him off. The young rascal insists on his right to a transfer, but, well, I've refused to say yes or no until we settle this business of yours.
Well, golly, Chief, we don't want to hold up Timmy's plans.
Now, Jimmy, you and Trudy have held up everybody else's plans. In fact, you've tied him up in a knot.
So I understand.
Oh, my goodness, Chief Cody. We're only trying to do what's best for the Firefighters Brigade and Miss Greville and Northside School
And the fire department and everybody else in town, yes, dear. And the result is that everything is at a standstill.
Mom, Chief Cody, if I'm mixed up in this, whatever it is, couldn't somebody tell me something?
It's a question of fire prevention, son. You know how the Bureau of Fire Prevention cooperates with the Firefighters Brigade out at Northside School?
Oh, yes, Chief. The Bureau is getting to be a section of the brigade, or maybe the other way around.
And you've heard Jimmy and Trudy talk about that play of theirs, Tim.
The one they've been rehearsing for days with the big fight in it?
Oh, that's only the part about where the arsonist...
Arsonist. Where the arsonist tries to burn down the factory,
But then there's a pageant, too, that Miss Greville wrote.
And the part where we go back and show where the whole city almost burned up, like Chief Cody told us when he was only a kid like us about 1,000 years ago.
Here, who said it was 1,000 years ago?
Oh, you know what I mean. It's all in the play.
Yes, it's all in the play, and there's so much in that play, Tim, that there'll be no play at all unless we straighten things out.
There's got to be a play,
Oh,
Mom.
my goodness, all the whole school is expecting it for assembly.
And all the guests have said they'd come, even the mayor.
But you've invited them for a week from today, and everything is at 6s and 7s. You'll never be ready in time.
Well, if you're not, Jimmy and Trudy, it's going to be a black eye for the Firefighters Brigade.
Golly, I never thought of that.
Oh, dear.
That's not all, Chief. If that play blows up, it's going to be a black eye for Northside School and for the fire department. After all the help the department has given the Firefighters Brigade, if that's the best they can do,
Well, that's just it, Tim. Now, there's time left, just barely, to put on a real fire prevention play if somebody would only step in and help.
Well, Mrs. Collins, I thought I had just the man to step in and put this thing across. A man who could work right along with the brigade.
Well, that's all we need, Bob. Someone to represent the Bureau of Fire Prevention.
But hang it, Mrs. Collins, the man I want slipped through our fingers.
Oh, but can't you talk to him, Chief? Make him see how important this is?
I tried to, son. I tried to persuade him to take a tour of special duty with the Bureau of Fire Prevention.
Did you tell him that, Bobby, in so many words?
No, I hoped he'd think of it himself. But this stubborn young rascal, all he can think of is getting a transfer to the rescue squad.
Well, there must be some way to talk him around, Chief Cody. Now, look, if you... Hey, you're talking about me.
Now, Tim Collins has more of a problem than ever, because more than anything else, he wants to join the rescue squad. But when Chief Cody needs him for special duty to help the Firefighters Brigade make a success instead of an embarrassing failure of their fire prevention play, will Tim refuse to help? For his decision, listen to our next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here's a message you ought to hear. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. This is Chief Cody with another of those tips about how to fight fires. You know, of course, that a fireman's first duty is to save life. After that, he saves property. You hear about damage done by smoke and water. But remember, every move the fireman makes is planned to knock down the fire fast, with as little damage as possible to valuable property. So remember, when a fireman breaks a window to ventilate a fire or admit a hose stream, he figures a window costs less than a new house. Well, that's all, and goodbye for now.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's roll! Let's go! Firefighters!
In just a moment, X-1. But first, how does one man get himself into so many impossible situations? This is a question you'll probably ask yourself tomorrow night when you follow another hilarious adventure of Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. Yes, Gildy's eye for the ladies and his impulsive temperament managed to entangle him in a web of riotous circumstances. Join the romantic water commissioner, his neighbors, Judge Hooker, Mr. Peavy, and all the loyal Gildersleeve household as they romp through another episode of The Great Gildersleeve tomorrow night. And now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight's story, The Cave of Night, by James E. Gunn.
Oh, you want a little, Charlie? Okay. Though yet of Hamlet, our dear brothers, death the memory be... Anyway, how's it, okay? Okay. Check recording, will you? I may go over a half hour. Make sure they've got another reel of tape ready, okay? All right, Look, Bill, I've just put the segments of tape together for the next week's show. I'm going to record my narrations, and we'll listen to it together tomorrow. I know this is unusual, but you're the producer, and I don't want you out on a limb that may be sawed off behind us. This week's show is liable to either win us every award from the Peabody to the Pulitzer Prize, or maybe put the network out of business. Okay, we We start with the standard opening. Behind the world, etc., 40 seconds. This is Harry Anders, your editor. At 8 o'clock, after the sun has set and the sky is darkening, look up. There's a man up there where no man has ever been. He is lost in the cave of night.
The fuel tank's empty. Receiver broken. Transmitting and clear. Anyone picking this up, anyone. This is Rev McMillan calling. Notify Goddard Rock, New Mexico. There's no way to get back.
There's a man up there where no man has ever been. He is lost in the cave of night. We all know that phrase now, the cave of night. It was written by a poet disguised in the cynical hide of a newspaper rewrite man. But it stuck. It caught the world and held it like a butterfly pinned to a board. It started with a ham, an amateur radio operator, in Davenport, Iowa. All right, Eddie. Roll the first tape in here. It's marked.
Am I too close? I was up in the attic. I usually have a talk with WG73. He's in Buenos Aires. We play chess. Well, there was some kind of interference. And then all of a sudden I heard this voice. I record most of my listening anyway, so I had the tape machine running. After I heard it, I called civil defense. That's what we're supposed to.
Look, Bill, I haven't done the final editing on these tapes, so don't worry if they're a little rough. Down out of the night, flung from the darkness, came these words, the first of so many that electrified the world.
Notify Goddard Rock, New Mexico. There's no way to get back. No way to get back. I'm stuck up here. No way to get down.
What does it take to catch the pity of the world? A man wedged underground in Kentucky. A little girl in the bottom of a well. Somebody alive, waiting for rescue, with the days of his life numbered. Somebody somewhere waiting for us to get him out. The story broke in this morning's papers. Orbiting 1,000 miles above our heads was a man, an officer of the United States Air Force in a fuelless spaceship. We're recording at the desk of Mike Bayless, senior night editor of the Continental Press National Wire.
Hey, you always get a reaction like this. I remember the Floyd Collins story in the 20s. Fellow trapped in that cave in Kentucky, remember?
Oh, sure.
And the whole country hanging on to see if he could get out. Then there was that little girl stuck in the well. Kathy Fiskus?
Yeah.
We pulled all those stories out and put them on the wire for background. But this hit bigger. We got the first lead from an Air Force handout in New Mexico. They just said an experimental rocket failed to return to base. But by that time, the cat was out of the bag. Ham operators picked up those messages from Boston to Fairbanks, Alaska.
Mr. Bayless, you first used the phrase, the cave of night, didn't you?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you got to get a little purple on a thing like this. People eat it up. You can't spread it on too thick. Anyway, I was lost in a cave once when I was a kid in upstate New York. I waited around for a couple of hours in the dark until they came for me. It kind of reminded me of that.
It reminded the world of terrors at night, of struggling awake through nightmares. The fears of loneliness, darkness, falling, suffocation, thirst. It reminded me of Rev McMillan. And perhaps I have an advantage over all the other reporters for newspapers and radio and television because I knew Rev McMillan. I knew him in college and in the Air Force. I knew that he was testing rocket-powered craft at Goddard, but I didn't know they were so close to space. No one knew, till those messages of desperation crackled down through the atmosphere. I remembered Rev when I saw those headlines that morning. Straight black hair, Clark Gable ears, a reckless grin. He ate well, reveled in expert jazz and Mozart opera, and he talked incessantly. His southern speech was no drawl. There was too much to say. And now he was alone. And soon all that might be extinguished. The men from the radio newsrooms rushed to Goddard Rocket Base armed with ninja tape recorders.
Gentlemen, I'm Colonel Arthur J. Hannigan. Information Officer for Goddard Rocket Base. And I'm authorized to issue the following statement. First Lieutenant Reverty L. McMillan, United States Air Force pilot, Experimental Rocket Division, took off from Goddard Base at 22:34 Rocky Mountain time. His craft, the XR-37 Mark II, a hydrazine nitric three-stage rocket. I'm sorry I can't describe it, boys. Classified. Well, in order to maintain orbit, the motors were pulsed for 1 second every 15 seconds elapsed time. After 3 minutes, the exhaust was seen by ground spectroscope observation to flare for half a minute. His fuel supply is exhausted. The craft has reached sustaining orbital speed.
What does that mean, Colonel?
He's out of gas. He can't get down.
The first mobilization was of the scientific brains massed at Goddard. Few of them knew Rev. Brains at a research project are usually carefully sorted out and salted away from the distractions of the outside world. They designed, they invented, they calibrated and theorized. But they didn't know the short, stocky man with a lopsided grin who rode the fruit of their labor up and out, and now circled the world of his birth, with time ticking out. I covered the hearings in Washington for the network newsroom. I flew down from New York, and the stewardess came out every few minutes to tell the passengers the latest news. She called him Rev, although she never knew him, and once I thought I saw a tear. The hearing was before the subcommittee of the Senate Committee on Military Affairs. Presiding, Senator Alan J. Haggister of Kentucky.
All right, General Finch. You've made the technical situation fairly comprehensive, even to an old canebrake redneck hillbilly like myself.
I have tried to make the gravity of the situation apparent, sir.
It appears to me, General, that the sacred life of a human being created in the image of his maker is in danger. It's no light thing to be thrown away like some guinea pig. If that ship wasn't safe, if that poor man up there in the cave of night is to die, somebody is responsible. Isn't that right, General?
Sir, a manned rocket was sent up because of one simple fact. It takes a computer of tremendous versatility and capacity to operate a Harrison-Munch reactor engine. A computer of infinite complexity.
And I ask you, General, I put a question to you. Why was such a computer not designed?
It has been designed, sir. It was designed 500,000 years ago. There is only one mechanism competent to handle those controls, sir. That is the human brain.
All right. I turn now to my second question, General, and I ask it not only for myself and my colleagues on this committee, but for 170 million Americans listening on the radio, watching on television. With that man up there living out his last days, why was it not possible to send a ship up after it? Why was there no second ship built?
For one reason, Senator, money. The appropriation for rocket research fell short by 12% of the amount needed even to build one vessel. Oh, frankly, gentlemen, the deficiency was made up by cutting corners and diverting funds from other projects.
That is not the point, General. There's a man up there who's going to die.
With the limited funds you gave us, we've done what we set out to do. We've demonstrated that space flight is possible, that a space platform is feasible. If there is any inefficiency, if there is any blame for what has happened, it lies at the door of those who lack the confidence and the courage and ability of their countrymen to fight free of Earth to their greatest glory. Senator, how did you vote on that?
This is Harry Anders in the gallery of the Washington National Cathedral. This is a special prayer service called by the Dean of the Cathedral for the safety of Lieutenant McMillan and for the success of the recently announced rescue plan. The church is filled. There's a sprinkling of high Navy, Army, and Air Force uniforms. I see General Finch in the second row, next to the Secretary of the Air Force and the newly appointed Undersecretary of Defense, Mr. Winokur. Prominently displayed in the center aisle, below the ornate railing separating the pews from the altar, is the small model of Macmillan's ship. One by one now, the congregation is filing past, dropping checks, bills. I saw one child drop in 12 pennies one by one. All contributions are to be used to defray the cost of the rescue effort. The congregation is now kneeling to pray. A moment of silent prayer will follow for the safety and rescue of Lieutenant Macmillan.
$1 billion was raised in 1 week from voluntary contributions. Another $1.5 billion was appropriated unanimously by Congress. The race began. Would the rescue party reach the ship in time? Of course, we didn't know then. And daily we listened to the voice of the man we hoped to buy back from death. Now, look, Bill, on these Macmillan broadcast tapes, don't let some ignorant engineering vice president holler because it's not broadcast quality. Believe me, I knew Macmillan. There's more of that wild Texan in these tapes than in any hi-fi super-frequency response studio recordings. Just listen. You'll see what I mean.
I've been staring out the portholes. I never tire of it. Through the window at the right, I see a black velvet curtain with a strong light behind it. There are pinpoint holes in the curtain, and the light shines through, not winking the way stars do, but steady. There's no air up here. That's the reason. My oxygen is holding out better than I expected. By my figures, it should last 27 days more. I shouldn't use so much of it talking all the time, but it's hard to stop. Talking, I feel as if I was still in touch with the earth. Still one of you. Even though I am way up here. Too bad the receiver is broken, but if it had to be one or the other, I'm glad it was the transmitter that came through all right. There's only one of me. There are billions of you to talk to. You can't see me now. You'll have to wait hours for the dawn. I'll have mine in a few minutes.
That's the way he talked. And as we listened to the lonely voice from the night, the engineers, the scientists, the construction men worked round the clock. General Finch presented the problem in the pool interview. I asked the questions for the combined networks that afternoon. Most of you heard the complete broadcast live as he briefed the world with the clipped, laconic delivery of a soldier.
There are two basic problems. We've recovered the first and second stages of the rocket. We've only to construct the third stage. The second problem is more difficult. The pilot. Lieutenant Macmillan was the only man physically and psychologically qualified. We discovered that in our first program. His training and orientation took 18 months. We have now to duplicate this in 27 days.
You think it's possible, General?
I don't know. That's all, Mr. Anders. Stevenson, get me some coffee, will you? Black and some kind of sandwich, no butter, no mayonnaise.
And then the voice from the cave asked a question and expected no answer.
Do you hear me down there? Sometimes I wonder. I wish there was some way I could be sure you were hearing me. Just that one thing might keep me from going crazy.
I was there the night we answered that question. I was there in a helicopter over Kansas City.
This is Harry Anders speaking to you from a helicopter over Kansas City. There are 15 seconds till midnight. The plan was developed by General Finch. At precisely midnight, every light in the city will be out and then flashed on in 2-second intervals. This will be the exact moment that Macmillan's ship is calculated to pass overhead. It's almost time now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There they go. Off. On. Off. On. Off. On.
I see it. I see it. Kansas City winking at me. Oh, yes, I can see it. Thanks. Thanks. You're listening. I know that now. I'm not alone. I'll never forget. I'm waiting for you.
We're recording in the press gallery of the Goddard Rocket Base main construction hangar. The vast third stage component stands before us, men swarming up and down the gantry cranes. The Mark III is being built to carry 5 men instead of 1. The pilot selection has been kept a top secret to avoid unnecessary strain on the men selected. The latest progress report gives a possible margin of 6 hours between the launching of the rescue ship and the estimated exhaustion supply of oxygen to Lieutenant McMillan. The shift is changing now. The expert construction workers recruited from across the country by the combined efforts of the Air Force Personnel Service, the Atomic Energy Commission, and the International United Electrical Workers and United Auto Workers of the AFL-CIO. The margin is 6 hours. 6 hours between life and death for Lieutenant Reverdy L. McMillan.
An hour ago, I saw the sun rise over Russia. Looks like any other land from here. The green where it should be green. Farther north, a sort of mud color. And then white where the snow is still deep. Up here, you wonder why we're so different when the land is the same. You think we're all the same children of the same mother planet. Who says we're different?
Can you hear me in the back?
Yes, a little close.
Well, how about this?
That's better.
All right, gentlemen, I have exactly 5 minutes for the press conference. Therefore, I'm not going to answer any questions. Progress report is as follows. As a safety factor, we're constructing 2 complete 3-stage rockets and 6 additional 3rd-stage components. The telemetered reports from McMillan's ship have added important additional information, and the first of the rescue vessels should be ready to be launched at the estimated time, weather permitting. Now, don't ask a question. Within certain limitations of air turbulence, the rocket will be ready to lift in time to save Lieutenant McMillan.
21 days. The air is bad tonight. I can't seem to get a full breath. It seems to stick in the lungs. Doesn't matter, though. But I wish you could see what I've seen. The vast spreading universe around Earth like a bride in a soft veil. You'd know then that we belong out here. Come out, mankind. Come out and see what I have seen.
This is Harry Anders at Goddard Rocket Base. The Harrison Munch reactor engine for the first 3rd stage rescue is being tested here at Goddard. You can hear the roaring of the gases in the test chamber behind me. The work has been stepped up as a new calculation based on the increased temperature reading from McMillan's ship indicates that the exhaustion time will be some 6 hours earlier than originally estimated. The margin of rescue will be in minutes.
Air very bad. Better hurry. Can't last much longer. Silly, of course you'll hurry. But I don't want anyone feeling sorry for me. I've seen the stars clearly. But more than this, I've seen the earth. There where I have lived and loved. I have known it better than any man. And loved it better. And known its children better. Goodbye. I have a better tomb than the greatest conqueror Earth ever bore. Do not disturb.
Countdown for blast off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Anders, tape 323. We're in the press operation room of Goddard Field. The rescue rocket has been aloft 53 minutes plus. Its calculated time of arrival is 54 minutes. You will hear the voice of General Beauregard Finch on a direct pickup from the rescue vessel, which has been named unofficially the Lifesaver. Silent crowds have collected at the outer perimeter of the rocket base, as if by their presence they might help it.
Quiet.
The next voice you hear will be General Finch aloft in the rescue ship. The voice quality may not be good. He's speaking over a throat mic in his pressure suit.
Mark 3 to base. This is Finch. We'll secure that deal. We have just secured to the airlock of Macmillan's ship. I'm now entering the lock. The inner door is closed. I have closed the outer door. The inner door is cycling. Now it is open. Bring in those oxy bottles, will you? The bulkhead to the control room is open.
Is he all right?
Come on, William. What's happening?
Lieutenant Macmillan is dead. He died heroically, waiting till all hope was gone. Until every oxygen gauge stood at zero. And then, well, the airlock was open when we arrived. In accordance with his own wish, his body will be left here in its eternal orbit. I'm going to leave now. My feet will be the last to touch this deck. Lieutenant Macmillan is in his control chair, staring out towards the stars. I'll leave the airlock doors open behind me. Let the airless, frigid arms of space protect and preserve for all eternity. This man they would not let go.
Well, that's the show, Bill. Bill, you remember at the conference we hadn't made up our mind whether to pick anything up from the celebration last night after the news of the Mars landing? I said it was the right end for Rev Macmillan's story. You said it was old stuff. Every kid knew the sequence. The ships built to rescue Rev, used to set up the satellite base, from the base to the moon and now to Mars. Well, I went out with a mini-tape last night, and I've got the end of the story. Here it is. This is Harry Anders in Times Square. The neon rocket ship at the top of the Times building has just flashed into brilliant light. The signal that the landing signal has been received from the rocket Rev Macmillan III. Man has landed on Mars. And the holiday crowd here in Times Square is celebrating like 1,000 New Years rolled into one. I'm being tossed and pushed and clapped on the back all at once. Let's see what the man on the street thinks about man on Mars. You, sir. I'm broadcasting. No, how do you feel about it, sir? How do you feel tonight about man's conquest of space, of the planet?
Leave me alone. I'm in a hurry.
Just a few words.
Look, you get your hands off me. Let go of me. I'm not in.
Wait a minute, sir. Wait. Rev, come back here. Rev. You think I could listen to that voice over and over in a tape editing room and not know every vowel, every consonant? I'm telling you, Bill, I saw him. Rev Macmillan. The black hair was gray and those claw cable ears were pinned back, but that's a simple operation. I've played that piece of tape over and over. It was Rev, I know it. He isn't up there. He's alive. We've got it, Bill. We've got it on our show. We'll break it. Rev Macmillan is alive. I haven't written it yet, but we finish it off with this, with a question. Why did they announce he was dead? I'm in the tape editing room now. I've got the reel ready to record the answer.
Excuse me, Mr. Anders.
Hey, just a minute. I'm recording. You better see the page outside
Mr.
of the...
Anders, I'd like to talk to you for a moment, if I may. I have a letter of authorization.
Just a minute. I'll be through in a minute. Look, Bill, I've got the answer now. Last night, they landed on Mars. But that first ship, the one that circles up there now, there isn't anybody on it. There never was, except a 30 days recording and a transmitter. That's all. He was never up there. They didn't have the money for a manned rocket. They wanted a crash program all out, so they sent a decoy up. And we all broke our hearts to rescue the man who wasn't there. Oh, he must be laughing, General Finch and the rest of them, the ones that knew. Yeah, I guess they had a problem. What to do with Rev? I wonder if he slipped away from whatever guards they have around him to see the celebration. He looked a little sad. Now, I think sometimes he must wish he was really up there in the cave of night, seated in the icy control room, 1,075 miles above the Earth, staring out at the stars.
Mr. Anders, I must insist...
What? Bill. Looks as if I won't have to worry about editing this tape. My friends are from Washington.
I'd like to call your attention to the last paragraph.
What? Oh, no. It's very simple. You won't have to burn it. It's easy to destroy recording tape. I throw this switch. When the tape goes through the erasing head, it's gone forever. Oh, too bad. Would have made one fine show. Okay. So long, Rev.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features an exciting serial, Slave Ship, by Frederick.
At last, the Gregory rescue boat has arrived at the Magic Island. Towed in by a Euclidean submarine, Johnston's boat has been left to shift for itself just outside the Pier 5 lock and is now being taken alongside Mrs. Gregory's yacht, noiselessly pulled through the water by the underwater magnets. Jerry and Joan are in the submarine which brought Johnston's boat in and are eagerly awaiting the chance to return to the yacht as soon as the submarine is safely in its underwater lock. On the deck of Mrs. Gregory's yacht, Captain Bradford, the skipper, and Mrs. Gregory stand ready to take a line from Johnston's boat and make it fast to the yacht.
Now, you just stand over there by the port rail, Pat. Keep your eye on the island for old G-47. He'll come running over here to grab Johnson the minute we get his boat tied up. And I'd like a few words with Johnson before that happens, if I can manage it.
I'll watch the island, Tex. I can see the whole pier from here. But I don't want to be too far off to meet Johnson when he steps over the rail. It's my boat, you know, dear, and Johnson's been pretty wonderful through all of this.
Yes, you're right, Pat. I'll stand here if you like, but keep a sharp eye along the pier.
I'll warn you if G-47 comes along.
Skipper.
Aye.
You'd better come here with me and take Johnston's stern line. Hanson can handle that bow alone, but the wreckage of that mast left nothing here to make fast to. So we'll have to strong-arm the line here.
Aye.
We'll take your stern line here, Johnson.
Look lively. Here it comes, then.
Tex, that's McLeod. What will G-47 say about this?
He doesn't know Johnson. If we have to, we'll introduce G-47 to McLeod and tell him Mac is Johnson. Here, Skipper.
Aye.
I'll take a turn of this line here. You run the slack out of it and bend the end around something back there. Boat's making very little way. We'll lash her easy enough.
Hurry, Tex. Get Mac aboard here and talk to him quietly. G-47 is coming along the pier now.
Right, Pat. Make it fast here, fore and out. Snub those lines tight. Come aboard, Johnson, over the rail and snap it up.
I'll be with you this minute, Captain Bradford. My compliments, Mrs. Gregory, and your health.
Thanks, McLeod. Now, we've got to give you some quick orders. I'll go meet G-47 and talk to him as long as I can before he gets here. Hurry, Tex. You'll only have a minute.
Now, listen, Mac. This may sound crazy to you, but I'll explain later. You're Johnson. Get it, Mac? You're Johnson.
Oh, that's what Johnson told me. Very good, then. I'm Johnson.
Good boy, Mac. And the reason you're Johnson is because you've got to meet a man right now. He's coming with Mrs. Gregory, and you've got to make him believe you're Johnson. Our lives depend on it. I'll explain it all later.
Well, what about my accent? I've been told I've got a bit of the healing on the tongue.
Well, have a sore throat. Anything. This man has heard Johnson's voice over the radio dozens of times. Now, don't talk much.
Right around behind this cabin, G-47. Captain Bradford is talking to Mr. Johnson.
I've got it, Mac. Listen. The oil fumes from the leaking tanks. Your throat. Hoarse.
I got it. I'll give you a full report later, Captain, when I get these oil fumes out of my throat.
There they are, G-47. Oh, Tex.
Yes? Oh, yes, Pat. I was just telling Johnson we'd better put him to bed for a while and look after that throat. G-47, let me present Mr. Johnson, skipper of this boat.
You have been expected, Mr. Johnson.
How do you do?
Your throat is bad.
Aye.
Oil fumes got him when he was fighting those leaky fuel tanks on his boat.
He need not speak. It is action I desire. That message, Mr. Johnson?
What message?
You know quite well. The message, Mr. Johnson.
I don't understand.
Oh, come on, Johnson. There's no use trying to bluff G-47. He knows all about the message I sent with a pigeon and how much it means to us. You might as well give it to him.
No, Tex. Not that. Isn't there something we can do? Don't give it to him, Johnson.
But, Pat, we haven't got a chance anyway.
We'll have less with that message in G-47's hands.
You have no chance under any conditions. Will you give me the message, or must I tear your boat apart to find it?
Come on, where is it, Johnson?
I have it here with me.
Well, then give it to him.
No, Tex, I won't
Quiet,
have it.
Pat. Why make things worse? Come on, hand it over to G-47. Hurry up, Johnson.
There it is, then.
Johnson, You're choking. Your throat.
Yes, it may be serious. Well, you've got what you want, G47. Will you leave us alone for a few minutes so we can get this man into a cabin and look after him?
I will gladly leave you alone for the length of time it takes to work out the formula. Once I have it, then what I do will cease to interest you.
Come, Tex. Let's take Johnson into my cabin and see what we can do for his throat.
Yeah, your cabin's smashed with that mast. Come on, we'll go in the radio cabin.
That would be better. You're welcome to what is left of my yacht, Johnson.
Thank you, Mrs. Gregory.
Stand by to watch those lines, Skipper. Make sure the crew of Johnson's boat have what they need. I'll turn out and help you look it over pretty soon. All right.
Look, Tex. There goes old G47, laughing to himself and trotting off down the pier.
Yes, he's got what he wants this time. Right in here, Johnson. Now, neither one of you say anything till I have a quick look at this cloth covering in the cabin. Sit over there, Mac. Pat, you sit there.
Yes.
Where you can keep a strict watch out that port hole along the pier.
All right.
Well, cloth seems all tight. I'll sit here where I can look out the other port and see the rail of Johnson's boat. Just in case some smart Euclidean takes a notion to do a little listening. Now, Mac, you can talk. Not too loud. But we're fairly safe in here.
This place must be as mad as Johnson said it was. What's all the cloth around the cabin?
That cloth is made here on this island. Without it, they could look right through the walls and see and hear all we're doing.
This is a fine how do you do. But tell me, you've got the pigeon all right?
Yes, and the message is safe. Tex memorized it and destroyed it.
Yes, and the bird almost got here too soon. The yacht had just come up when he arrived.
Come up? Come up from where?
We were submerged, down inside the island.
Submerged? But are you quite well, Mrs. Gregory?
I don't blame you, Mac. You didn't know this yacht was a submarine, did you?
What's it all about, Captain Bradford?
Well, you see, Mac, we were taken into a lock and submerged with the whole island when that fleet of battleships was maneuvering around here. But never mind about us. Tell us how Johnson managed to get away and where his radio signals have been coming from all this time. I'll see who it is. Remember your sore throat.
Yeah.
Come in, Joan.
Where's Jerry?
Oh, Mother, dear.
Joan.
Oh, I am so happy to see you again.
And I'm happy to have you, my dear. Where's Jerry?
He was not allowed to come at this time.
What's the matter, Joan? Kid talk himself into trouble?
Oh, I think not, Captain. But G47 took him to the chemical laboratory. There is some important experiment going to be performed.
Yes, I'll say there is.
Yes, dear. G47 thinks he has Texas formula this time.
Yes. I saw your other boat. And, of course, Mr. Johnson is a prisoner. They got the formula from him.
They got what they think is a formula. And they got it from a man they think is Johnson. But it isn't, and he isn't.
I do not just understand that, Captain.
I don't blame you, dear. Tex certainly mixed it up. Oh, I'm sorry, Mac. Mr. McLeod, this is my daughter, Joan.
How do you do?
It's a pleasure, Miss Gregory. And your mother really found you here on this island.
Right, Mac. We've got what we came after. The thing now is how to get away.
Where is Mr. Johnson?
This is Mr. Johnson, dear.
But you just said he was Mr. McLeod.
That's who he is. But he's also Johnson as far as G47 and these Euclideans must find out. For just as long as we can keep it quiet.
I do not understand it at all, Captain.
Well, Joan, dear, a great many things have happened to us since you and Jerry went out on that submarine. But the most important of all was the arrival of a pigeon from Johnson's boat.
Oh, one of the little pigeons came here then? But how did it find the yacht? You were in the submerged lock then, were you not?
Yes, we were, until about a minute before the pigeon got here. And luckily for us, G47 wasn't around when the bird landed.
And was there a message on the pigeon, Captain?
Yes, Joe, a very important message. How far out was the boat when Johnson got the pigeon off, Mac?
About 150 miles, Captain.
Then he's too far away for these men to harm him now.
That he should be. It was a fast little boat he made the transfer to. And they ought to be many miles from here by now.
Then Mr. Johnson is not on his boat. Was not on it when the submarine towed it in here.
No, dear. Johnson transferred from his boat to another, which was passing. And for the last couple of hours, he's been running for Los Angeles at top speed.
Yes, you see, Joan, you and Jerry missed a few things by being in the submarine. When this yacht came out of the submerged lock, we saw the pigeon from Johnson's boat fluttering around trying to land. He got into the coat just as we reached the stern. The message said, Johnson had transferred to another boat with a radio and would try to keep sending messages just as if he was on his own boat.
Then Johnson was gaining all the time it took to get his boat in here without G47 suspecting that anything was wrong.
Exactly, Joan. And to slow things up even more, Johnson pretended his fuel oil tanks were leaking and the boat would have to be slowly towed in here.
But the tanks were leaking. We followed the trail of oil with the submarine. There must have been hundreds of gallons of oil on the surface of the water.
Aye, lassie. Hundreds of gallons there were. And it fair broke the heart of Angus MacLeod to open the valves and let it run away.
Oh, but that was very clever of you, Mr. MacLeod.
Now, Mac, listen. I think for the looks of the thing, it might be wise for you to go aboard the other boat. Make yourself look busy with the crew, you know, and you, Pat, might go with him.
Yes, Tex, I think that's a good idea. And I would really like to see the members of the crew and thank them for their fine efforts in our behalf.
Yes, I've got a few questions to ask Joan. She might have something we can work on after being in that submarine. After a few minutes, you come back, Pat.
All right.
We'll try to lay a new set of plans before G47 discovers that my formula is still safely beyond his reach.
Pardon, would we be shoving off then? I hope you can see you're very clear out of all this, Captain. It's too mad a business for me.
I'll be right back, Tex. Oh, hello, Jerry.
Hello, Mrs. Gregory. I got some news for you.
Well, I've got to go over on the other boat with Mr. Johnson now, Jerry. You go on in with Tex and Joan. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Okay, Mrs. Gregory. Hello, Johnson. Hey, Tex. Boy, oh boy, have I got the news.
Yeah, we've got some for you, too, kid. See that man with Mrs. Gregory? He isn't Johnson. The G47 thinks it is. And Johnson's safely on his way back to Los Angeles on another boat.
Is that not wonderful, Jerry?
Yeah, swell.
Well, you don't seem much surprised, kid. I thought that'd be mighty big news to you.
It would be, if I hadn't figured it out already.
You what?
Yeah. You remember, Joan, that I told you that submarine commander was going to be on our side?
Yes, but I think you were mistaken, Jerry.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I got a minute to talk to her where nobody could hear us. And she said she had figured out that those last messages of Johnson's weren't coming from his boat at all.
You mean that woman commander knew that and kept it secret from G47?
Yes, sir. And do you know what that means? It means that she's on our side. And with Johnson safely on his way back to Los Angeles, and that girl helping us on the island, we're a cinch to get away from here.
Right, kid. Nothing can stop us now.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
Today, with Jimmy Olsen and Boris Harchenko saved from certain death at the hands of their mysterious assailants, Superman renews his search for Perry White and the taxi driver last seen with the missing editor.
Hello there, gang. This is your pal Dan McCullough. You know, in sports, they usually say that if a fella's a good starter, he's a fast finisher, too. And believe me, gang, that applies to you. Why, if you give your day a breezy start with an A11 breakfast, then you're pretty likely to be breezing ahead at the end of the day. So get hep to Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal. There's a breakfast dish that practically coaxes you to eat. Looks terrific in the first place, all golden and light and crisp. And Pep tastes just as good as it looks. What flavor? Keen, light sunshine flavor. Delicious come-on flavor. A toasted full wheat flavor that your appetite can really latch onto. Yes, sir, Kellogg's Pep sure is on the beam when it comes to tickling your taste. Every tender spoonful has the old stuff that keeps you coming right back for more until almost before you know it, you've polished your bowl clean as a whistle. And that's the right idea, too. Nobody wants to waste one flake of Kellogg's Pep, especially nowadays when the cereal grains are being sent to fellows and girls overseas. So make it a habit to eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
Now, the Adventures of Superman. when John Grayson, publisher of the Daily Planet, who was known to be an enthusiastic backer of the World Peace Federation, suddenly appointed a personal representative named Homer Smith, who ordered editor Perry White to attack the Peace Federation and the Planet, White indignantly refused. And that afternoon, he mysteriously disappeared. Cub reporter Jim Olsen, who saw the car in which White had been carried away, was captured by gunmen and about to be shot when Superman rescued him. Frightened, gunmen revealed that they had been hired by a man named Joe Barton, who lived at the Miller Hotel. And as we continue now, Superman, accompanied by Jimmy, has arrived at the dark, dingy hotel. The nearby church clock strikes 3 a.m. as they stand in the dimly lit corridor at the door of Barton's room. Listen.
Do we knock on the door, Superman?
No use, Jim. We're too late.
Oh, what do you mean?
Get ready for a shock. Come on, the door's unlocked.
Cleeps, look, on the floor.
Yes. Is that Joe Barton?
I don't know. I don't know his name. But it's the driver of the phony taxi cab, the one Mr. White disappeared in yesterday.
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm positive. Is it?
Yes, he's dead. He was stabbed through the heart.
Golly.
Our friends apparently decided to play it safe.
What do you mean?
I told you they weren't taking any chances. Whoever is behind all this is clever and ruthless. He or they won't stop at anything, not even murder. Whoever it is must have a big stake in sabotaging the World Peace Federation.
What? The World Peace Federation?
Exactly.
But how does that figure in all that's happened tonight?
I'll tell you. Mr. White disappeared right after he refused to attack the Federation in the Daily Planet, right?
Yes, but
the attack on you and now Barton's death all point to the same source, which I'm convinced is an individual or organization against world peace.
Oh, I see what you mean. But gee whiz, how are we going to find Mr. White now? We figured on this fellow to tell us where he is.
Now, this is a tough break, Jim. But we'll find Mr. White another way, and before we're through, we'll track down the people who are willing to commit murder in order to sabotage the World Peace Federation. Come on.
As Superman and Jimmy Olsen leave the shabby Miller Hotel, a quite different scene is taking place in a vastly different setting. Some 40 miles from Metropolis, on a lushly green wooded island off the coast, sprawls a huge mansion of gray stone, looking as if it had been hewn out of the very rock it rests upon to overlook the sullen sea. At the very top of the house, in an unbreakable glass-walled turret, which revolves at the touch of a lever, is a circular study from which the view spreads uninterruptedly over the sea, the star-studded sky, and the island estate. And in it sit two men. One, neatly dressed, wearing eyeglasses and looking not unlike an accountant, is Homer Smith, whom we have met before. The other man is of an indeterminate middle age, sharp of face and eye, deeply tanned. His thin legs are encased in beautifully cut riding breeches and boots, and his muscular torso is covered with a heavy maroon silk shirt open at the throat. Only his bloodless lips and long claw-like hands reveal his savage nature. This man is Rufus Pelly, reputed to be one of the richest men in the world.
Joe Barton. You took care of him, Smith?
Yes, I did, Mr. Perry, personally, just as you directed.
Good. With him out of the way, Perry White's abduction can possibly be traced to you. You can go ahead with your work.
Yes, sir.
Now, about Olsen. He got away, you know.
No. That's impossible. He couldn't.
Nevertheless, he did. I got the report on the teletype a half hour ago. You were a fool to let Barton go after him, Smith. First White, then Olsen. Didn't you realize you'd have every police officer in Metropolis down on your head?
But Olsen saw Barton drive away with Mr. White. I thought...
You should have put Barton out of the way at once. Then you could forget Olsen. It's smart not to commit any more murders than necessary.
Yeah. It's a joke coming from you.
Don't get insolent, Smith.
I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean it.
What a spineless pup you are. Why don't you stand up to me? Of course I'm a murderer. As the greatest producer of arms and munitions in the world, I'm a wholesale murderer. I give millions of stupid men the weapons and shells with which to destroy each other in war. And they pay me well for it. Very well.
You're a strange man, Mr. Perry.
I'm a truthful man when I'm in the mood, but we're wasting time. You've got to get back to Metropolis tonight. Now, here, I've written a series of editorials. Take them with you. I want one published on page 1 of the Daily Planet every day, beginning today, and in big black type. You understand?
Yes, sir. World Peace Federation, a menace to the United States. Taught by foreign statesmen to lure America into disarming. This is pretty strong stuff, sir.
I want them to be strong. The World Peace Federation is the greatest danger my business has ever had to face. If the nations of the world get together in mutual trust and understanding and iron out their difficulties over a conference table instead of in war, I'm out of business.
Yes, I realize that, but these editorials, if you don't mind my saying so, sir, are great exaggeration.
You mean lies, don't you?
Well,
of course they're lies, whopping big lies. The Daily Planet is one of the most respected papers in the country. If the Planet says the World Peace Federation is bad medicine and says it often and strongly enough, a great many people will believe it. And if we can fool enough people, we'll get rid of the blasted Federation.
Well, that's true.
Of course it's true. Now, get started. I want the first editorial in today's Planet without fail.
Yes, sir.
Good night, Smith. I'll be waiting to read the Daily Planet today.
Clark, come into my office, will you? I've got to talk to you privately.
Okay, but if you want to know what I found out about Mr. White, the answer is not a solitary thing.
I know. I just spoke to Inspector Henderson. What are we going to do, Clark? Mr. Smith is going to...
Henderson gave him a clean bill of health.
Gave whom a clean bill?
Smith.
He did.
Henderson investigated him, and it seems he's been engaged in some sort of importing business until recently when he tied up with John Grayson.
Oh?
Took him abroad a great deal. The firm's out of business now, and the record is rather vague, but Henderson hasn't been able to find a thing against Mr. Homer Smith.
Well, I don't know if Mr. Homer Smith had anything to do with the chief's disappearance, but
I'm sure he had everything to do with it, and I'll pin it on him eventually. Right now...
Right now, you can pin this on him, Clark.
What?
Look at this galley proof of today's noon edition.
What's he done now?
Well, read that box editorial on page 1.
World Peace Federation, a menace to United States.
Oh, that's not all. Just keep reading.
Clever trap by foreign diplomats to lull U.S. into disarming while they secretly prepare for war. Great Scott, we can't print this rotten lie, Lois.
Try to stop Mr. Smith from printing it.
But we...
I just tried, and he told me I could resign any time I pleased. Oh, Clark, this is the most awful day I've ever lived through. The chief missing, and now this.
We can't print this filthy lie,
Will
Lois.
you stop saying we can't
Well,
print it?
we can't.
We're going to print it, or Mr. Smith is in 2 hours when we go to press. And there's apparently nothing that you, nor I, nor anyone else can do to stop him.
We'll see about that.
Well, if you've got an idea, name it. I'll do anything.
There's nothing you can do. The only two persons who can stop this are Perry White and John J. Grayson.
Will you stop dreaming? The chief, heaven only knows where he is. I can't even think about him anymore without just going to pieces.
I know,
And
but...
you talked to Mr. Grayson yourself, didn't you?
Yes.
Where did that get you, except to be told that whatever Homer Smith says goes?
Yeah, that's right. Grayson is in great fear of Smith, and it's obvious that Smith has something on him.
You said that before, too, but so what?
Just this. I'm going to find Grayson wherever he is and make him tell me the truth. He's got to now. Not only Mr. White's life is at stake, but the life of the World Peace Federation, the peace of all nations. So now
stop dreaming. You've just named a job that would be a handful even for Superman.
Exactly.
What?
I mean, that's your phone, Lois.
Yes, I know. Hello? Lois Lane speaking. Who? Oh, yes, he is. Just a minute, please. It's for you, Clark.
Oh, thanks. Yes? Who? Oh, yes. What's that? Great Scott, when? Where?
What is it, Clark?
Just a moment, please. Yes, I hear you. Yes? Yes? I see. Yes, I see. Thank you.
Clark! What is it? Wait, you're so pale. What's happened? Clark, answer me.
Anxiously, Lois Lane shakes Clark Kent's arm, begging him to tell her what has happened. But Kent sits as if turned to stone, his eyes staring into space. What shocking news has he heard? We'll know more in a moment when we return for the tense climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Say, gang, will you go galloping into breakfast when you're heading for a peach roundup? That's this week's pet dish of the week, you know. Yes, sir, a peach roundup just about doubles the excitement of breakfast. And here's how easy it is to make. First, lay half a chilled peach in your breakfast dish, then cover it with your regular serving of Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine cereal, and top with the other peach half, round side up. Add cool milk and sugar, and there's your peach roundup. And will you be rounding up some terrific eating when you get going on this smooth dish? Right from the start, that sunny golden Pep flavor swings into the lead. Believe me, the spoon that comes up filled with Kellogg's Pep goes right back for more of the same. In double quick time, your bowl is polished off clean as a whistle, which is always a good idea because Pep is good for you. Sure, gives you solid whole wheat nourishment plus. And it's particularly important nowadays not to waste cereal. because we're sending the cereal grains to help give good nourishment to fellows and girls all over the world. Think of that when Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's. Eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
Shocked by what he has learned from a phone call just received in Lois Lane's office of the Daily Planet, Clark Kent replaces the phone and sits as if turned to stone, while Lois shakes his arm, demanding to know what has happened.
Don't just sit there, Clark. For heaven's sake, tell me what...
One chance in a million.
What?
The odds are now 1,000,000 to 1 against Mr. White and the World Peace Federation.
What are you talking about? Who was that phone call from?
It was from... Scott, what am I sitting here for? When split seconds count against one chance in a million, I'm delayed. Goodbye, Lois.
Wait a minute, Clark. Clark, come back here. Clark, where are you going?
Rousing suddenly, Clark Kent leaps from his chair and rushes headlong from Lois Lane's office. What has happened? Who was that phone call from? And what did Kent learn that made him say the odds against Perry White and the World Peace Federation are now 1,000,000 to 1? Don't miss Monday's thrilling episode when Superman pits all his great powers in a battle against tremendous odds. Be sure to tune in, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal. Say, gang, I know that you know loads of famous names, so you're sure to know Kellogg, the greatest name in cereals. But do you know that swell breakfast treat, Kellogg Shredded Wheat? It's delicious. You see, Kellogg picks out finest whole wheat, toasts it to natural nut-sweet goodness. Kellogg packs 15 tender plump biscuits in every package. And Kellogg sees to it that you get the grand nutrition of whole wheat in biscuits made to fit the bowl. Ask Mom to get you some Kellogg Shredded Wheat. And be sure to be with us on Monday for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting.
Did you lose an election bet yesterday? Feel a bad cold coming on? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape.
You were groping in the midnight dimness of a gigantic department store, and suddenly you realize that you're not alone, but 100 eyes are glaring at you from the shadows, 100 hands reaching for your throat, and your most urgent desire is to escape.
Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully plotted to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to the dark labyrinth of a giant department store in the dead of night, and to a fantastic world of night dwellers, as John Collier imagines it in his eerie story, Evening Primrose.
Sadie? Sadie, hey, what's the matter? It's me.
Oh, Sam, you nearly scared me to death. What do you mean coming in so quiet?
Hey, I didn't mean to scare you. I thought you'd be asleep. I didn't want to wake you.
Oh, Sam, I'm glad you're home.
Hey, what's the matter?
Oh, it's terrible. You got to do something, Sam.
Oh, what's terrible?
It's this. Just look at this.
What's terrible about that? Looks like an ordinary pad of paper to me.
That's just it. That's just what I thought. But it's got writing in it. It's awful.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe you better tell me what this is all about.
Well, today I went shopping down at Bracey's department store.
Yeah?
I needed some writing paper, so I picked this up. It was on top of the pile, and bought it and brought it home. But tonight when I opened it, I found it's got writing in it.
Well, that's nothing so terrible. Just take it back tomorrow and they can give you a new one.
Oh, no, you don't understand. It's what's written in it that's so terrible.
What do you mean, what's written in it?
Here, you gotta read it.
Oh, Sadie.
No, right now. Read it.
Look, Sadie, I'm tired. I've been bowling all
Please, Sam, please. Just read it.
All right, for Pete's sake. October 13. Today I made my decision. I decided to say goodbye to the world, to get out, leave, break away. And I have done it. Oh, Sadie, there's a lot of...
Go on, read.
And now I am free. Really free.
Yes, I am free at last. The world is an intolerable place for a poet. I was broke, starving, at my wits' end. And then I had a brilliant idea. I would escape to a place where I had no need to earn a living, where I could write to my heart's content in peace and security. Where is this place? Right under your nose. So close you'd never think of it. I am now living in Bracey's department store. I have everything within arm's reach that anyone would need or desire. And it's all free. Absolutely free. I arrived this afternoon. I'd spent 3 days looking over all of the department stores in town. I decided on Bracey's because of the completeness of their food department. Therefore, this afternoon, I entered the store and went immediately to the 4th floor, to the rug department, and hid myself in this dusty, out-of-the-way corner behind a pile of carpets. Once I'm settled, I'll furnish it with the best of modern pieces from the furniture department. It's small, but I'll be cozy enough. And safe. After the store closed, I made my first venture out. I tiptoed as far as the stationery counter and got this paper, the writer's primary need. Now, after making my initial entry, I'll go out and get food, wine, the pillows for my bed, perhaps a fancy dressing gown. This is perfect. I'll be able to write here. Dawn, October 14th. I'm almost too unnerved to write this. The whole thing is unbelievable. After the store was dark and completely quiet, I crept out and started for the food department. One's footsteps echo hollowly in an empty department store at night. And I found myself gliding along the floor on tiptoe, moving as silently as possible. But the sound of footsteps persisted. Suddenly I realized they were not my own. The night watchman. I was in the Salon Moderne. Quickly I seized a mink coat from a hanger, draped it about my shoulders, and stood stock still. I could have reached out and touched him, but he passed by without so much as a glance. I started to smile, but the smile froze on my lips. There was someone else here. I was looking straight into a pair of eyes. Large, flat, luminous, inhuman eyes peering at me from among the Mrs. Tailored suits a dozen feet away. They belonged to a creature dressed as a man, but he was as pale as a creature found under a stone. His hands hanging motionless at his sides looked more like the fins on a fish than human hands. And then he spoke.
Not bad for a beginner.
I'm sorry. I didn't know anybody else lived here.
Oh, yes. We live here. It's delightful.
We?
Yes, all of us. Don't you see? Look around you.
I looked around. I saw nothing. I looked again. I saw an old man come clambering out from behind a clock. There were 3 elderly ingenues, incredibly emaciated, pale as lace, almost transparent, simpering before the perfume counter. A chintzy lady swam out from the curtains and drapes. They came swarming thick around me, pale, thin, wispy, moving silently, fluttering like gauze in the wind, whispering.
How raw he looks.
Who is he?
Of course it's the sun.
What is he doing here?
A detective. Send for the dark men. Yes, send for the dark men.
The dark men.
They were pressing around me, clawing, holding me, their pale faces contorted with venomous, inhuman hatred. I was paralyzed. All I could do was repeat over and over again, I'm not a detective. I'm not a detective. I'm not.
Burglar, then. A burglar? Tie him up.
Hold him, carry him to the place.
Send for the dark men.
Stop. Let him speak.
I'm not a detective. Or a burglar. I'm a poet.
Then what are you doing here?
I've renounced the world. I came here to live where I could be alone. Away from the world.
Why then, he's come over to us. He's just like us.
He's come over to us. A poet.
He must meet Mrs. Vanderpant.
Yes, Mrs. Vanderpant. She's coming now.
I followed their eyes toward the balcony. There, coming down the wall like an ancient spider, clambered an old lady, wrinkled and cracked and emaciated. She must have been at least 80, a shadowy matriarch. And the things around me bowed and scraped as she reached the floor and floated toward us.
What's going on here? Where is that stupid girl? What's keeping her?
Oh, Mrs. Vanderpant.
Well, what is it? Who's this, Mr. Roscoe?
Mrs. Vanderpant. May I present Mr.
Snell, Mr. Snell, Mr. Charles Snell.
Yes, of course. Mr. Snell. He is a poet, and he's come here to live.
Oh, he has he?
That's what he says, and I believe him.
Well?
He avoided the night watchman quite neatly, for a beginner.
Well, thank you.
Very well. We shall see. A poet should find inspiration here.
Mr. Snell, Mrs. Vanderpant is our grand old lady.
Oh?
I am quite the oldest inhabitant here, Mr. Snell. 3 mergers and a complete rebuilding. But they didn't get rid of me.
Oh, really?
Where is Ella? Where is my broth?
She's bringing it, Mr. Vanderpant.
Oh, terrible little creature. She is our foundling, Mr. Snell. She's not quite our sort.
Is that so?
I have been here, Mr. Snell, ever since the terrible times of the 80s. I was a young girl then. A beauty, they say. And poor Papa lost his money. Braces meant a lot to a young girl in those days. So when I wasn't able to have a charge account, I came here for good. That's better than a charge account. I was quite alarmed when others began to come after the crash of 1907. But it was the dear judge.
How do you do?
Yes.
The colonel.
How do you do?
Yes.
Mrs. Bilby. How do you
do?
Mrs. Bilby writes plays.
Oh.
And comes of an old Philadelphia family. Oh, you will find us quite nice here, Mr. Snell.
I'm sure I will.
And, of course, all our dear young people came in 1929. Their poor papas jumped from skyscrapers. They couldn't bear to be without charge accounts either.
Do you mean all these people live here?
Oh, and many more. You shall meet them all later.
Oh, here comes Ella with my broth. Come, you stupid thing.
Mrs. Vanderpant is waiting.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I'm coming as fast as I can.
Now,
Here.
be careful. Don't spill.
Oh, but she's young.
Well, of course, she is a little younger than most of them.
And she's different. She's beautiful.
Mr. Snell, Ella is Mrs. Vanderpant's maid.
That's right, old man. She's really not our sort at all.
You shouldn't say such things. She can hear you.
Oh, that doesn't matter.
You'll understand these things better after you've been here a while.
But it seems to me that you would...
Mr. Snell, we have certain rules here. They are necessary for our survival. I'm sure you won't find it hard to observe them.
Well, yes, I appreciate...
I should advise that you try. If you do not, that would be most unfortunate, Mr. Snell. Most unfortunate for you.
October 15th. You can imagine my feelings last night. My first thought was to escape as quickly as possible. In fact, I planned to wait till morning when the store opened, then quit my hiding place, mingle with the crowds, and leave Bracey's forever. But just at dawn, Mr. Roscoe brought me a cup of coffee, which must have been drugged, for I fell asleep. And when I awoke, I found I had slept all day, and night was closing over the store once more. Later, I've spent my second night here. I saw Ella again. Ella, the pearl of this remote, fantastic cave. She's not like the others. A trifle pale, but otherwise normal and human and beautiful. A child of perhaps 18. She's the only thing that makes this nightmare bearable. October 20th. Escape seems almost impossible. There's a very effective burglar alarm system, and the doors are all carefully guarded. But that's nothing compared to the Dark Men. Who are the Dark Men? I don't know. But they threaten any transgressor with these Dark Men. I shall try to discover who they are. At least I'm sure I'm watched, though they've begun to trust me now. Speaking to the night watchman would be suicide. Even if he believed my fantastic story or didn't shoot me as a burglar, I'm convinced that neither Ella nor I could get out of here alive. She and the night watchman are the only real people here. And how the others hate the night watchman.
Odious, vulgar creature. He reeks of the coarse sun.
Oh, come now, Mrs. Bilby. He's really a personable young man. Very young for a night watchman.
Mr. Snell, sometimes I wonder about your taste.
You mustn't stay so much to yourself, Mr. Snell. You must become better acquainted with our ways.
Yes, old man. You must come to the play tonight. We're going to be entertained with one of Mrs. Bilby's tragic comedies. Love in Shadowland. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
I'm sure I will.
It's really a festive occasion, you know. Wanamaker's is coming over.
Wanamaker's?
Yes. The entire colony over at Wanamaker's is coming here en masse to attend the play.
You mean there are people living in other stores?
Oh, dear, yes. Didn't you know? Of course, the best people live in Bracey's and Wanamaker's.
Oh, come now, Mrs. Bilby. There's some very nice people at Alton's.
I beg your pardon, Mrs. Bilby.
Oh, hello, Ella.
Good evening, Mr. Snell. Mrs. Bilby.
Well, what is it?
Please, ma'am, I'd so love to see your play tonight. May I have your permission?
Certainly not. You know better than that, you stupid creature. You know where you belong. In the basement for the garbage can.
But Mrs. Bilby
Hush,
couldn't...
Mr. Snell.
Ella, you're becoming entirely too forward of late. I'd advise you to watch your step. Remember the Dark Men.
Oh, no, please, Mr. Roscoe. I'll be good. I promise I will. No, please don't send for the Dark Men. I'm sorry, Mrs. Bilby. Excuse me.
Ella, come back.
Mr. Snell, you forget yourself. Let her go.
But how can you treat her like that? Why do you always frighten her? And what is all this about the Dark Men?
Well, the Dark Men...
Oh, please, Mr. Roscoe, not now. You'll spoil our whole evening. And I do so want Mr. Snell to enjoy my play.
Very well. Later, Mr. Snell.
But I want to know about the Dark Men.
Later.
October 21st. At last I found an opportunity to speak to Ella alone. I hadn't dared to speak to her before. Here one has a sense always of pale eyes secretly watching. But last night at the play I induced a fit of hiccups. As I anticipated, I was sternly reprimanded and told to go and secrete myself in the basement where the night watchman wouldn't hear me. This was exactly what I had planned. I went to the basement. There in the darkness, among the garbage cans and the rats, I heard sobbing. Ella! Ella!
Oh.
Ella, is that you?
Yes?
Why are you crying? What is it, Ella?
They wouldn't even let me see the play.
Is that all?
Oh, Mr. Snell, I'm so unhappy.
There. You mustn't cry.
You're the only one who's kind.
Ella, why are you here? Why do they treat you so differently?
Because I'm not like them. I didn't choose to come here.
You mean you're held prisoner?
Yes. You see, I was only 6. I came here on a shopping tour with my mother. I got lost and fell asleep behind a counter. It was dark when I awoke and they found me. Some of them wanted to send for the dark men because they were afraid I would tell on them. But Mrs. Vanderpant said no, I could stay and be her maid. I've been here ever since.
Since you were 6? Haven't you ever tried to get away?
Oh, no. I don't know anything about out there. I wouldn't know what to do. Besides, I'm afraid if anyone tries to get out, they send for the dark men.
Ella, who are the dark men?
Don't you know? Oh, it's horrible.
Tell me.
You know how people live in all the stores, at Gimbel's and Bloomingdale's.
Yes, I know.
Well, the dark men live at the Undertaker's.
Good heavens.
And whenever someone dies or breaks the rules, or when a burglar gets in and sees these people and might tell, they send for the dark men.
Oh, horrible.
They put the body in the butcher shop in the food department. And then the dark men come. I saw them once. It was terrible.
What do they do?
They go in where the dead person is. They have wax with them and all sorts of things. And when they're gone, there's just a wax model left on the counter. Then people put a frock on it, or a bathing suit, and mix it up with the other wax models in the windows. And nobody ever knows.
Ella, you mean all these dummies around us?
Oh, not all of them. But if you displease these people, the same thing will happen to you.
October 30th. I haven't kept up my journal. Writing has been out of the question. Once more, I'm frozen with terror. But not for myself now. For Ella. They hate her. Any time they might turn against her and send for the dark men. My mind is filled with her. I dream of her every day. I'd live to see her at night. We've managed it several times. They trust me now and let me roam about without interference. Finally, tonight, I met her again and said it. Ella, I love you.
Oh, Charles.
I love you, Ella. Let's get married. Or whatever they do here. Then we can live together in my home in the carpet department. They wouldn't dare hurt you then.
Oh, Charles,
Don't look so dismayed. If you like, we'll go away from here. Maybe we can get transferred to Bergdorf Goodman's, overlooking Central Park.
Don't, Charles, don't. You mustn't.
But I love you. Ella, you're not in love with someone else.
Yes, Charles, I am.
But who? I thought you hated them all. It must be Roscoe. He's the only one that's young enough.
Oh, no, Charles, not Roscoe. Especially not him. I do hate them all. They make me shudder.
Well, who is it then?
It's him.
Who?
The night watchman.
No, impossible.
I love him. He smells of the sun.
Ella.
Oh, it was wonderful the way it happened. Don't tell on me, Charles, or they'll punish me.
Oh, no.
I was careless, and there he was, coming around the corner in the ladies' lingerie department. I was caught. There were only some wax models in their underthings. There was nothing else to do. I slipped off my dress and stood still.
Oh, I see.
He stopped and looked at me. And Charles, he spoke to me. He said, "Say, honey, I wish they made him like you on 8th Avenue. Charles, wasn't that a lovely thing to say?
Personally, I should have said Park Avenue.
It doesn't matter what street. It was a lovely thing to say.
But what can you do about him? Ella, he belongs to another world.
Yes, to 8th Avenue. I want to go there. Charles, are you really my friend?
Yes, of course I am.
And I'll tell you, I'm going to stand there again in the lingerie department, so he'll see me.
And then?
Perhaps he'll speak to me again.
Ella, you're only torturing yourself.
No, because this time I shall answer him. He'll take me away.
Take you away? Oh, no, Ella, I couldn't bear that. You don't love him. You only think you do because you think he'll take you out of here, but you don't know that he will. And I will, Ella. I've made up my mind.
No, Charles, I couldn't let you do it. Even if I loved you, you couldn't do it, Charles.
Why not?
Because you really belong here. You've become one of them now.
Ella, you mustn't say that.
It's true. And, Charles, I've got to go. There's someone watching us. I feel it.
No, wait, Ella.
Goodbye, Charles.
No, Ella. Come back. Ella.
Please, old man. You'll arouse the night watchman.
Roscoe.
Yes. Oh, love can be very upsetting, can't it?
You heard?
Yes. Just the last moment or so. Very touching. Yet it's understandable. I've been attracted to Ella myself. So she loves another, Too bad, old boy. Who could it be? Could it be that I'm the cause of your heartbreak?
You flatter yourself too much, Roscoe.
Well, then whom? The old judge? Oh, certainly not. The colonel? Hardly.
None of those.
Oh, not one of the customers. The staff?
She loves the night watchman. Can you imagine that? She loves the...
Oh?
Roscoe, I shouldn't have said that. It's not true. At least I don't think it's true. You wouldn't... Roscoe, you said you loved her, too. You wouldn't do anything. Tell anybody. This is a secret between us. Between friends, isn't it?
Of course, old man. As secret as the grave.
She's young. Perhaps he'll leave and she'll forget him in time. Who knows? Perhaps she'll learn to love you. Or me.
Of course. In time.
And we'll figure a way to keep her safe here.
Absolutely safe. Now, don't you worry about it. It's almost dawn. Time for bed. Good morning, Mr. Snell.
Early evening, November 4th. I was a fool. I should have known he couldn't be trusted. He must have gone straight to Mrs. Vanderpant because this evening the atmosphere has changed. People flicker to and fro, smiling nervously, horribly with a sort of frightened, sadistic exultation. An informal dance in the record department has been called off. I can't find Ella. I'm going out again now to look for her. Roscoe, what have you done with her?
Shh. Quiet, old boy. The night watchman.
I don't care. What have you done?
Whatever I did was for your own good as well as for the good of us all.
Wait a minute. What is that? What are those people carrying? That's Ella. She's tied up. They're carrying... Ella! Ella!
Stop it, Charles. Stop it.
Oh, let me go.
Oh,
Let me
stop,
go.
Charles. Stop it. You'll arouse the night watchman.
No, they're taking her into the butcher shop. Roscoe.
Yes. Those are the dark men.
Good Lord. Midnight. I'm scribbling this last entry hurriedly. They are in there in the butcher shop with Ella. The dark men. There's only one thing to do. I'm going to find the night watchman and tell him. He and I will save her, if we can. And if we are overpowered, well, I will leave this pad on the stationery counter. Tomorrow, if I live, I will recover it. If I do not, whoever finds this and reads it, look in the store windows. Look for 3 new wax dummies. 2 men, 1 rather sensitive looking, and a girl. She has blonde hair and blue eyes, and her nose turns up a little. Look for us. And then find them. Smoke them out. Exterminate them.
Avenge us.
Oh, Sam, isn't it horrible?
Ah.
We got to do something. Tell somebody something. Oh, Sam, what'll we do?
Do? Well, nothing. Go to bed.
But Sam...
Well, whoever wrote this has sure got a weird sense of humor. It's probably some clerk down at Bracey's who ought to be fired.
But... You mean you think it's just a story?
Are you kidding? You don't believe this stuff, do you?
Well, I don't know. I
Oh, forget it, baby. I want to snap out of it. I shouldn't leave you alone. You get too many ideas when I go out bowling at night.
But, don't you think maybe we ought to just, take it back and show somebody?
Oh, nuts. It's not worth the bother. They'd laugh at you, baby. They'd think you were crazy or something.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess I was silly.
Forget it. Oh, come on. Let's go to bed. Huh? I'm tired.
Okay, Sam. Gee, you know, there for a while I sure was scared. I even forgot what I was going to tell you. Sam, I found the cutest dress today. Only $19.95.
Yeah, baby?
Yeah. It was in the window at Bracey's. It was on a beautiful little wax model with blonde hair, blue eyes, and a turned-up nose. And there were two men standing beside...
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight brought you Evening Primrose by John Collier, adapted for radio by John Dunkel, with Elliot Lewis as Charles Snell, Paul Frees as Roscoe, and Pat Lowry as Ella. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Pure. Next week...
After you've had a tough day at the office, or leaning over a hot stove, when your four walls seem to be closing in on you, next week at the same time when you want to get away from it all, we again offer you Escape.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa. Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk. And Nestle's chocolate bars now present Space Patrol. High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy are in their spaceship approaching a planet in a remote solar system.
Commander, where did that thing come from? It's a glowing outfit. It's headed right toward us. A meteor. Meteors don't glow in space. It's getting brighter. It's a ball of fire. There's another one. Where in the universe are they coming from? It's a weapon. A weapon? And it's some of Makor's work. Right. It's trying to make good his threat to destroy us.
We'll be back in just a moment with a thrilling story, Prison Planet.
It's quicker than a jet flight. It's quicker than the speed of light. It's Nestle's Quick, the miracle product that mixes so quick it gives you chocolate milk in seconds. Fellas and girls, have you tried instant Nestle's Quick? Nothing was ever so speedy. Here's all you have to do to get perfect chocolate milk. First, pour out your big, cold, frosty glass of milk, then add 2 teaspoons of Nestle's Quick. That's right, you pour the milk first, then you add Quick. Spoon it around once or twice, and there's your chocolate milk. Why, it practically makes itself. And wait till you taste that flavor. Quick is just like those great Nestle's chocolate bars. Yes, sir, it's got that special Nestle's chocolate flavor, that special Nestle's chocolate richness, that special Nestle's chocolate smoothness. It's a real soda fountain treat right in your own home. You're going to love having wonderful Nestle's Quick with meals, for snacks, and before bedtime. And you can tell Mom that Quick is good for you because it's fortified with vitamin D. And the more Quick you drink, the more milk you drink. So Mom's sure to approve. Ask her to get that big brown and yellow can of Nestle's Quick. And then you can join all the Space Patrollers in the most delicious, most chocolate, quickest treat in the universe. That's Q-U-I-K, Nestle's Quick.
And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, Prison Planet. Buzz and Happy have returned to the Graxock star system 500,000 light years from the United Planets to search for the one remaining pilot of an ill-fated expedition. 3 other pilots have already been found and have returned safely to Terra. Buzz and Happy realize that every moment spent in the unfriendly galaxy means increased peril, for Makor, guardian of the star system, has sworn to destroy them. While Happy watches the viewscopes for unfriendly ships, Buzz makes repeated attempts to contact the missing Space Patrol pilot by spacephone.
Commander Corey aboard Terra 5, calling Lieutenant Stitter, Element 4 of Expedition Enigma. Commander Corey calling Lieutenant Stitter.
Lieutenant Stitter, Terra 5.
You got him. Reception's terrible, Hap. Keep watching those viewscopes while I try again. Yes, sir. There's no sighting so far. Corey to Lieutenant Stitter. Your signal is very weak. Keep talking. Repeat. Keep talking. We'll try to get a fix on your signal.
I read you faintly, Commander. Would you repeat your orders? Lieutenant Stitter requesting repeat on orders from Commander Corey.
Stitter must be thousands of DUs away.
Yes, and Makor is causing the interference.
That reflector field again, huh?
Yes, if we don't contact Stitter soon, get into Star Drive, Makor will be coming after us.
I wish we could make him listen to reason.
He won't have to. He broke his word with us, and we outsmarted him and hurt his pride. He won't be satisfied until he gets his revenge.
I guess there are characters like that in every galaxy.
I better try to reach Stitter again.
Commander Corey calling Lieutenant Stitter of Expedition Enigma.
Elsewhere in the defense headquarters of the Graxock star system, Makor, guardian of the galaxy, confers with his chief aide, Sindrana.
I've marked the star chart, Sindrana. This point indicates Corey's position. And the other intruder? The second ship is 40,000 omegas away from Corey. Its vector is indicated by this arrow.
I see.
And Corey is in communication with the other ship. To a very limited extent. Our deflector field is working quite successfully.
It may be possible to send some of our ships after Corey and destroy him before he escapes from our galaxy.
No one is going to get Corey but me. You understand? My own personal reputation depends on it. I've got the entire plan worked out. First, we will capture this Lieutenant Stitter and his ship. That will be simple. Then we can turn our full efforts into getting caught.
You say it will be simple to capture the other ship?
Yes. Look at its vector. It is heading towards Zergor.
The prison planet?
That's right. A maximum security base. A planet from which no news leaks to the rest of the galaxy. Except by my authority.
Yes, but I don't see how we can possibly...
We will order this unwelcome visitor to land on Zergor.
Will we do it?
I got it all figured out. Now listen. Corey can contact Stitter, but we can.
Lieutenant Stitter, Element 4 of Expedition Enigma, calling Commander Corey aboard the Terra 5.
An urgent message to Lieutenant Stitter of the United Planets Expedition. This is Makor, guardian of the galaxy. I want to help you. Please acknowledge.
Lieutenant Stitter here. You say you're the guardian of the galaxy?
Yes. I am in charge of defenses of this star system, the region of space you're in now. I've already had contact with your Commander Corey, and know that he's looking for you. We promise to give him all the help possible.
That's certainly welcome news. Say, is it possible for you to relay a message to my commanding officer?
No, not at present, on account of those solar radiations. I offer a suggestion if you see fit to follow it.
Since you're working with Commander Corey and I'm lost, the best thing is to let you give the orders.
Thank you, Lieutenant. It will be easier that way. I believe I know your present position. There should be a yellow star approximately 20 degrees to the right of your present heading.
It's 23 degrees by my estimates.
Good. You're near the planet Zergor. Make a landing on that planet. Then we'll notify Commander Corey where to find you.
Planet inhabited?
Yes, but by a very primitive civilization. And I suggest that you carefully avoid any settlements for fear of alarming the natives.
I understand.
And I'll contact you later and help you establish your exact position on the planet so Commander Corey can locate you without any trouble.
I'm very grateful, Maycore.
Oh, this star system is always happy to help friendly visitors, Lieutenant. Now, don't be concerned about the Commander. I'll personally take care of everything. And I wish you a safe landing on Zirgol. There, Cinderella. You say?
I still don't like the idea of sending him to the prison planet. The prison authorities see his ship, they'll report it.
Didn't you hear me tell the stupid lieutenant to avoid all settlement? He'll never know he's landing on a prison planet until later when we have him locked up.
It would be better to do away with him. Suppose he talks.
Who would understand him without a translator? And there are no electronic translators on this prison planet. It would be foolish to do away with him, because we may need him later if we decide to attack Corey's solar system.
I realize no one has ever returned from Zirgol in the 12 Darwin that has been operating as a prison.
That's right. Not even the guards and official personnel. And the pilots who bring new prisoners there are not allowed to leave the ship. They must return without setting foot on Zirgol.
And you're sure there's nothing to worry about?
Nothing, Cinderella. We'll capture our lieutenant at his spaceship, and then we'll go after Commander Corey. Now come, let's go to our ship and vest off for Zirgol.
Still encountering bad reception, Buzz and Happy continue their attempts to contact Lieutenant Stitter.
This is the direction Stitter seemed to be heading. We either changed vector or the deflector Maycore was throwing our instruments way off. Uh-oh. There's something in the view scope, sir. A ship? No, sir, it's too big. A giant meteor, maybe. A small moon, a satellite of that planet. Sure, that's probably it. If we can contact Stitter again, we can use this little planetary system as a reference point. Commander Corey aboard Terra 5, calling Lieutenant Stitter. Commander Corey aboard Terra 5, calling Lieutenant Stitter.
Some distance from Zirgol, Maycore and Cindrana adjust a special device on their spacophone that modifies the deflector field. A few moments later, they establish contact with Lieutenant Stitter.
Have you landed yet, Lieutenant Stitter?
No, Maycore. I'm flying at low altitude over a mountain range, looking for a place to set down.
Are you near a settlement of any kind?
I don't think so. I made a careful check by view scope at high altitude before I came in low.
That's excellent. Now, from your spacophone signal, you appear to be on the bright side of Zirgol.
Correct. The sun is right overhead.
Have you observed the large body of water?
Yes, but it's beyond the horizon now. It's several hundreds of what we call miles to my right.
Then you are over an entirely unpopulated region, Lieutenant. Land in the first suitable place you see.
Very good, Maycore.
After your landing is secured, spacophone me. I'll have no difficulty finding you.
How about Commander Corey? Have you contacted him yet?
No, but don't worry. One of our communication centers is certain to reach him soon. Make her out. There you are, Cindrana. That ship and its pilot are as good as in our hands.
The plan is working out very well, Maycore.
I confess that...
Cindrana.
The view scope. It's a spaceship.
Yes. And on a vector towards Zirgol.
Possibly one of our own prison ships.
If there were prisoners being consigned to Zirgol, I'd known about it.
A supply ship, then?
The prison planet has been self-supporting for the last 2 Tarvins. It must be Corey. He has managed to get some sort of a fix on Stitter's signal.
He hasn't overheard our conversations with Stitter.
If he has, there's nothing he can do about it. He'll never reach Zirgol.
How are we going to stop him? It's not wise to engage Corey in combat. We've learned that fact.
We won't need to get closer to him than we are now. Not if we use the Darrow projectiles.
It's forbidden to use the Darrow projectiles,
except in the most extreme emergency. Well, isn't this one?
Yes. But you must have permission from the Supreme Council of the Galaxy. That would mean telling them there are alien ships in our star system.
I was able to obtain the Darrow projectiles without a formality. The Supreme Council will never know. Take the controls, Cindrana. I will launch the protocol.
Sure, that was Spitter we heard a moment ago. Can we stay on this vector, sir?
Yes.
Can you take us close to that planet? And that's not so safe with Maycore looking for us.
Maybe the planet's uninhabited. We can only contact Spitter before Maker's tipped off.
Hey, Commander, look. Where did that thing come from?
Glowing. It's headed right towards us. A meteor. Meteors don't glow in space. The meteor would have registered on a viewspace.
It's getting brighter. It's a ball of fire.
There's another one. We'll change our course.
Well, where in the universe are they coming from? All of a sudden, two flaming blobs appear out of nothing. Hey, they're changing course too, Commander.
Both of them swerved when we did.
Either they're attracted to us or they're under some sort of control.
It's a weapon.
It must be some of Makor's work.
Right, he's trying to make good his threat to destroy us.
They're gaining on us, sir. What are we going to do?
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment.
Say, Tony, did I hear you telling the gang that you have a soda fountain at your house?
That's right, Captain Toothbell.
Well, don't you think that's exaggerating just a little bit?
Gee whiz, no. My mom always keeps plenty of Nestle's Quick in our galley, and that's just like having a soda fountain, because I can make up real chocolate milk just like a soda fountain treat anytime I like, you see?
Well, I guess I can't argue with that, Tony. Nestle's Quick is the greatest treat in the universe, because it makes the greatest chocolate milk in the universe. Imagine being able to fix chocolate milk with the same wonderful, rich flavor as your favorite Nestle's chocolate bars, right in your house.
And you can fix it just as quick as that. All you have to do is pour out your glass of milk, add 2 spoonfuls of Nestle's Quick, put it around once or twice, and it's ready to drink.
And you know, Nestle's Quick has plenty of what it takes to help build sound teeth and bones. Plenty of vitamin D.
Another thing that's good is the more Quick you drink, the more milk you're drinking. And that's great for all us space patrollers.
Yes, everybody can have a soda fountain at home by just asking Mom to bring home the big brown and yellow can of Nestle's Quick. Then, anytime you like, meals or snacks, you can fix yourself a real chocolate treat, Nestle's Quick.
If you're like all us space patrollers, you'll love Nestle's Quick. That's Q-U-I-K, Nestle's Quick. Boy, is it chocolatey and good.
And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, Prison Planet. Makor, Guardian of the Galaxy, has tricked Space Patrol Lieutenant Stitter into landing in a deserted section of Zergol, a prison planet. When Makor and his chief aide, Sindrana, saw Commander Corey's ship approaching Zergol, he fired 2 day-roll projectiles at the Terra 5. Buzz and Happy realize their danger, but so far are unable to escape the strange, flaming projectiles by evasive action.
You'll just have to try to outrun them, Happy. Well, how about going into Star Drive? Maybe we'd be safe in hyperspace.
We'd be plunging into an unknown dimension with no hope of finding our way back.
Wow, those fireballs are gaining on us.
They're getting bigger, growing in size.
Maybe they'll burn themselves out before they hit us.
I'm afraid not, Happy. That weapon is some strange energy force. I think it feeds the travel.
On what?
Microscopic particles in space, and we're a giant particle, so it's chasing us.
Well, if we can't dodge them or outrun them, what are we going to do?
Hap, what's the simplest way you know to get a bone away from a hungry dog?
Gee, I don't know. Unless it's to offer him a bigger bone.
Right. It's just what we're going to do now. Huh? We're going to offer those hungry blobs of energy a bigger bone. We're changing vector to head right for that small moon.
Will they go after the moon?
Well, they may. The moon's small, but gigantic in comparison with our ship. We're going to have to rely on instruments at this velocity, Hap.
Yes, sir.
We'll have to work fast. You compute the moon's orbit. We'll leave it up to the automatic pilot control to skim us close to the moon's surface.
Wow, this computer better work fast. The fireballs are really closing in.
We've done all we can, Hap. Might as well relax.
I think I must have fed the wrong data into the computer, Commander. I think we're going to crash.
We've played our hand, Hap. If we tamper with the controls now, we might really make an error.
Here we go.
You can open your eyes now,
huh? Didn't
we missed the moon?
How about those fireballs?
They've changed course. With the moon. With the rear view scope.
The rockets had worked. I wonder what'll happen when they collide with it. Oh, look at that. The whole moon is burning up.
It isn't the moon any longer. It's a sun. A miniature star.
Oh, that's what would have happened to us.
Look at our instruments. Picking up all kinds of wild radiation.
Yeah. I'll bet we couldn't pick up a spacephone signal from Stitter now if he was in the next compartment.
Makor is probably a few DUs away trying to figure out what happened. We'll cross over to the other side of the moon's orbit and hide out for it.
Makor, you destroyed the moon. Their projectiles destroyed the moon.
Stop gibbering. The important question is, did we get Corey?
Lieutenant Stitter calling Makor, Guardian of the Galaxy. Lieutenant Stitter calling Makor, Guardian of the Galaxy.
a lot of interference, considering how close we are to the planet.
It's the Darrow radiation. Maker to Lieutenant Stitter, have you landed?
Yes. My ship is on a grassy plain, near a wooded section.
Good. Keep reporting at intervals. We will locate your exact position by your signals.
Very good, Major. Oh, any word from Commander Corey?
There is nothing to worry about now, Lieutenant. Just keep in contact, and we'll have you in safe hands in a very short time. Maker out.
You'll be in safe hands, all right. The hands of the guards of the prison planet.
From his grounded ship on the planet Zergol, Lieutenant Stitter continues his periodic messages to his supposed rescuers. Finally, a strange ship appears over the horizon and lands a few yards from his own. Two men emerge from the ship and walk toward his Space Patrol cruiser. As Stitter turns to open the hatch to welcome them, a signal light flickers on the spaceophone panel and a buzzer sounds. Surprised, Lieutenant Stitter steps to the spaceophone and quickly turns to a special frequency.
Lieutenant Corey aboard Terra 5 calling Lieutenant Stitter. Urgent. Commander Corey to Lieutenant Stitter.
Lieutenant Stitter here, Commander.
Stitter, you're in danger. Blast off immediately.
Danger? Oh, there's some mistake, sir. I've been in contact with the Guardian of the Galaxy. He's ready to rescue me.
He's tricked you. Get off that planet before he lands.
But his ship has already landed. In fact, there are two men about to come aboard. They'll be in here before I can blast off.
Are they in spacesuits?
No, sir.
Then you won't need one either. Get out of that ship. Go to the cargo hold and go out through the emergency hatch. Don't try to fight them.
I think they're entering the airlock now, sir.
Hurry, Stitter. Take a minute to spaceophone. We'll find you and pick you up. Hurry out.
Strange. He's not in the control compartment. Wait a minute. Look out through the port.
He left the ship.
Yes, he's running toward the woods.
Maybe he's suspicious of him.
I'll go after him. You return to our ship and wait for me.
The Terra 5 flies low over the planet Zergol while Buzz and Happy scan the ground with a telescopic viewscope.
Sure hope Stitter got away. Can't we try to contact him now, sir?
All right, Happy. We want to try too soon. By now, he's either captured by Mayflower or is far enough away to risk talking to us. Commander Corey calling Lieutenant Stitter. Corey to Stitter. If you read me but can't answer, we're looking for you. And we'll keep looking till we find you.
I hate to think of what Maker will do to him if he catches him.
Judging by the fragments of spacephone conversation he intercepted, Maker wants Stitter alive.
I sure hope so.
I'll try again. Commander Corey calling Lieutenant Stitter.
Lieutenant Stitter here, Commander. Everything's all right.
You got away from Maycor?
Yes, sir. I just ran into the woods. I'm all right now. This is a wonderful planet. Wonderful. I never felt so good in my life.
Stitter, listen. You're still in danger. Give me a few landmarks so I can find you.
Never mind, Commander. I don't want to leave this place ever.
Stitter, what's wrong with you?
What? Nothing's wrong. Absolutely nothing. What could possibly be wrong in this beautiful, wonderful world?
Stitter. Lieutenant Stitter, you're still under orders. I demand an explanation.
Stuff to explain, Commander. I'd like it here, that's all. Thanks for your trouble, sir. And goodbye. Stitter out.
Hey, I know. Maker's got him, and making him put on an act.
That was no way. For some reason, it just wasn't going to be this. Commander, look. There are two ships down there. Near the edge of the wooded section. Stitter and Maker.
Yes, and beyond it, in the clearing, there's a man.
Just a viewscope, Cap. Put him on. There.
It's Stitter, sir. See? Space Patrol uniform.
There's room in the clearing to set the ship down. While I land the ship, you check the atmosphere sample we scooped out.
The air must be okay, sir. Lieutenant Stitter didn't complain about it.
No, he certainly didn't. Make that test pass with him.
Yes, sir.
Using the repel array, Buzz brings the Terra 5 in on a vertical descent into the clearing. As they leave the ship and approach the lieutenant, Stitter leans against a tree and watches them with amused interest.
Lieutenant Stitter.
Hi, Commander. Hello, Happy.
Lieutenant? Now, come on, Lieutenant. Let's get into the ship.
Why is everybody so serious? This is a glorious planet. Why would anyone want to leave it?
Stitter, you're being affected by the atmosphere. There's a gas in the air that tests similar to nitrous oxide, sometimes called laughing gas. It gives you a false feeling of well-being.
Isn't it great, Commander?
Now, grab him. We'll carry him aboard.
Yes, sir.
Don't hurt him. Remember, he can't help the way he's acting. If we don't get aboard that ship right away, we'll be just like him.
Come on, Lieutenant. Easy now.
All three of you. Turn around and raise your hand.
Maker.
I warn you, don't force me to use this weapon.
Easy, sir.
Well, I see you have your translating devices with you. That will make it easier for both of us. Come on, we're going on a walk through the woods to my ship.
Why is everybody so anxious to leave this wonderful world?
Don't worry, you'll be back. You'll be here permanently, Lieutenant.
Hey, great.
You won't think it's so funny when you find out what Zergol really is. It's a prison planet.
This is a prison planet?
Yes. Some distance from here is a guarded prison. It was built by prison labor from other planets. And no one who has been brought to Zergol has ever left it.
Now, I call that a mighty nice arrangement.
For you, perhaps. But not for Corey and the cadets. After I get what information I want from them, they will be destroyed. Now, come on, all of you.
He's running things as if no happens.
Yes, sir. First, I better relieve you of your weapons. Just keep your hands raised. That's it, Commander. Now, you cadets. And don't move or I'll bust you to bits.
Hey, Commander, how come the atmosphere doesn't make this guy good-natured? He's been exposed as long as Lieutenant Stitter.
He's fighting it like we are. Stitter was caught off guard and didn't realize what was happening.
All right, let's go.
Stand right where you are. Are you there with the blaster? Drop it.
Strange has you covered, Maycor. He's right behind you.
Well, that's wonderful advice, Maycor. Drop it.
Very well. Do you know who I am?
Of course, you're Maycor, Guardian of the Galaxy.
And you, obviously, are an escaped prisoner. If you don't put down that weapon and let me go, you will be in for severe punishment. You won't think it's so funny when the guards catch you.
A guard? Maycor, listen, I am a guard. Janet, the guard.
Ridiculous. Why are you wearing your prisoner's uniform, then?
I like to change off. I'm a guard, all right. It's my job to keep nosy officials like you from interfering with the happiest planet in the galaxy.
Commander, this is a madman. Help me escape from him, and I'll let you return to your home planet.
Nobody leaves Zergol. It would spoil everything.
Janet, what do you mean spoil everything? Isn't this a prison planet?
Oh, not to us. We have plenty to eat and practically no work to do. Zergol is a paradise. I was in one of the original work crews sent here to build a prison. When we saw what we had here, we invented a little scheme to keep Zergol a paradise.
This is impossible. Zergol is a maximum security prison. The worst criminals in the galaxy are sent here.
Yes, it's our only source of immigration. If the truth ever got out about Zergol, it would be swamped with honest people. In a short time, there would be a shortage of food. Fighting, robbery, murder would be everywhere.
You mean there's no crime here now?
Why should there be? There's plenty for all. If any man has any tendency to be nasty, the effects of the atmosphere makes him a pretty jolly citizen after a few days.
I wouldn't stay here. I can't stay here.
Yes, Maycor, you're afraid the people you falsely accused of crime will get revenge. But don't worry, you'll be safe. We have a saying here that everything grows on Zergol, but hatred.
I understand the reason you want no one to leave here, but we three are from another galaxy. All we want is to return home. We'll never reveal your secret or bother you, I promise.
Something tells me you're sincere. But my duty to the others forces me to make you stay. I assure you, after a while, you won't want to leave.
Well, that's not the point. We have our duty to our solar system, just as you have to your planet.
What more could you ask of life than to live on Zergol? Look around you, at the trees, the flowers, the blue sky.
Pick that weapon, Jared.
Pick up your gun. Keep him covered.
Yes, sir. Quick thinking, Corey. Now I'll give this convict a lesson in respect.
Make her break it up. Let go of it.
I'll give him a thrashing, he'll remember.
No, you won't. Did he hurt you, Janet?
Not much. Thanks for taking him off me. You certainly hit him. He's unconscious.
You better watch him. His spaceship is outside the woods. He may have a partner aboard.
I know. It's in Granum. He's already been captured.
Well, my two friends and I are blasting off now. What I said before still goes. We'll keep your secret.
Thanks.
Happy you ready?
Yes, sir. I've got all the weapons.
Lieutenant Stitter?
I'm ready, Commander. I guess I lost control for a while. Sorry, sir.
That's all right, Lieutenant. Goodbye, Janet.
Goodbye, Commander. Good luck. Goodbye.
Come on, men. Let's get back to Terra.
But I like it here. I think I'll stay. Goodbye, Commander.
Happy. Come on.
Yes, sir.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
What's new?
Nestle's news.
Nestle's what?
Coconut. That's my favorite verse, Commander, because I sure go for Nestle's great new coconut bar.
So I see. Well, you've practically gone through the entire month's supply already.
Gee, Commander, I just can't help myself. When I bite into that luscious, thick, rich milk chocolate just loaded with crisp, toasted coconut, I sort of lose my head. I got to keep eating.
I'll admit, there's Never has been such a delicious chocolate bar as the new Nestle's coconut bar.
Well, except maybe those other sensational Nestle's chocolate bars. The rich milk chocolate, the almond bar, and wonderful crunch.
Oh, stop. Now you're making me hungry.
Well, what are we waiting for? Be my guest, Commander. Have a Nestle's chocolate bar. And that goes for you, too, fellas and girls. Remember, Nestles, Nestle's makes the very best chocolate.
And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are exploring the ruins of a lost civilization. Suddenly aware that a man is following them, Buzz pulls Happy into a dark passage.
I hope he didn't see us stuck in here. We've got the information. He can't see us in the dark passage, but we'll be
Oh, Commander, that big stone at the entrance. It's moving.
He knows we're in here.
Yeah, but no man in the universe could move that stone. It wastes time.
He's not from this universe, huh?
Commander, he sealed us in. We're trapped.
Be with us again next week for the thrilling Space Patrol story, The Crown of Darjida.
Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Bela Kovacs, Norman Jolly, Ken Mayer, and Tony Side. Dick Tufeld speaking. This week's Space Patrol was brought to you by Nestle's Eveready, the instant cocoa, Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk, and famous Nestle's chocolate bars. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood.
This is ABC Radio Network.